Ladies and gentlemen, esteemed members of our congregation and cherished guests, shalom and a heartfelt welcome to this sacred gathering on the auspicious occasion of Rosh HaShanah, as we gather here in the vibrant city of Naples, Florida, bathed in the gentle glow of the Gulf Coast. We come together not only to mark the beginning of a new year on the Jewish calendar, but also to contemplate the future of Judaism. Today we stand at the crossroads of tradition and innovation as we reflect upon the paths that will shape our faith in the year to come. That introduction was written for you by ChatGPT. It was the response to a query I entered: write the opening for a Rosh Hashanah sermon at a congregation in Naples, Florida, with the topic as the future of Judaism. Though spit out by an AI program, the phrase crossroads of tradition and innovation does resonate with us. From our smartphones and devices that connect us to one another, to the machines that monitor and maintain our homes, to the algorithms used to predict our health, our finances, even the flow of traffic, we feel increasingly aware of the way in which technology shapes the rhythm of our lives and even our identities. In the midst of all this transformation, many have come to wonder, will there be a Judaism in the world of tomorrow? Will we be gathering like this in years to come? What will happen to our heritage and traditions? In biblical times, Judaism provided our ancestors with understanding in a world that felt to them out of control. They wondered, why did the earth open up and rain down sulfur and ash on the people of Sodom and Gomorrah? It was punishment for their sins. Why was there an apocalyptic flood? They couldn't say of biblical proportions just yet. Because people had lost their way and the world needed a fresh start. Why did people experience leprosy and suffer? It was punishment for the sin of gossiping about others. But as we gain scientific understanding, what was once unpredictable and scary could now be explained, anticipated, and even prevented in some cases. Geology explains the movement of Earth's plates and identifies when shifts will cause geological events. Meteorology informs about massive storms, giving us the ability from our handheld devices to see not only their current location, but to accurately predict their future path. And modern medicine proves that bacteria and viruses, not lashon hara, spread illness in our world. While these scientific advances abrogate some of the uses that our ancestors had for religion, one would be mistaken to believe that faith lacks meaning today or is destined to fade away. Judaism has survived despite cataclysmic events and societal changes that many predicted would doom us to the annals of history. When the temples were destroyed, ending our ability to offer sacrifice, we adapted and developed what is known today as Rabbinic Judaism. When we were expelled from Eretz Yisrael, our culture evolved to thrive outside the Holy Land in the diaspora. When 19th century European society finally allowed Jews to be counted as citizens and to acculturate, we embraced the new opportunity while retaining our unique identity and heritage. With this history, we have every reason to believe that Judaism will be here in the future. It is fluid, adaptable, capable of evolving. Furthermore, Judaism will remain relevant because it adds meaning to our lives at a time when our world is more focused on productivity, when divisions between people are growing deeper, and when our society is becoming more dependent on AI. You should know that questions about the future of religion are not limited to the Jewish community. A host of recent studies explore what is being called the decline of religion in America. Their data shows that fewer Americans actively affiliate with churches and synagogues than ever before in our country's history. Many hypothesize that this decline inversely correlates to the increased emphasis that we have today on productivity and efficiency. We experience that productivity in our daily lives with that growth of self-service checkout kiosks, with the expectation of email responses outside of business hours, and even the option to pre-tip when you order online just to speed up the commerce. Researchers argue that religion, which relies on deeper spiritual concepts, is destined to struggle in an environment that values transactional efficiency. While one cannot dispute the data that shows a decrease nationally in religious affiliation, that's not quite the full story. The recent Pew study shows that although fewer Americans are formally affiliating, a significant number are increasingly identifying as spiritual but not religious. That classification means that these individuals seek some form of transcendence in their life, but they aren't finding that connection in traditional congregational models. And that is why I believe that our experience here at Temple Shalom is so valuable to the future of Judaism. Synagogues can offer a respite from life focused on efficient productivity by embracing the value of kahila, community. Kahila is the core idea behind our One Family initiative. Our focus on relationships gives us a sense of communal identity, something infinitely valuable in today's transactional world where one can easily feel isolated and alone. This sense of connection to others is energizing and a significant reason why this congregation has grown to over 920 households. And I've heard countless stories from our members that demonstrate it's not just about a number, it's the emotions, the power of the connections that we have. They share with me what One Family means to them. Just recently, I met with the family of one of our members after they passed. The children of our member told me that they had considered moving their parents back north on many occasions. However, they never followed through because their parents told them over and over how they were part of one family, that they had close friends and fellow members who cared about them. Knowing that their parents were so home here at Temple Shalom gave their children the reassurance to know that even though the biological children live far away, their parents would never feel alone. One Family transformed Temple Shalom as a congregation, and we'll be celebrating, believe it or not, its 10th anniversary in 2024. We invite you to join us on Sunday, February 25th for an exciting One Family Festival chaired by our own Bobby and Jean Katz. Noted musician Dan Nichols and his band 18 will be here to perform as part of the festivities, and we will be honoring two of our key architects of One Family, Neil and Tussie Schneider, for their dedication and efforts to help change this community into what we are today. Watch for more information in the future, and as always, read your email and you'll know what's going on. But returning to those surveys on religion, respondents also frequently cited their discomfort that they found when they entered a house of worship, discomfort created by the tension they felt from social and political divides. That was another reason they were choosing not to affiliate. It's in line with what Rabbi Boxman spoke about last night, that in a world fragmented by political vitriol, people feel pulled apart. But Judaism offers us a chance to experience the value of shalom, of finding peace and wholeness by working collaboratively with our neighbors. Friends, many of the divisions that we experience are born out of disagreements of a political nature. Individuals clash over how local and national problems should be solved. But that's the mistake. They start by arguing about the solution, the end part of it. Instead, we have to begin with our shared values, study our texts to find the teachings and lessons that we can agree upon as part of our faith tradition. Next, we can use those shared values as a lens through which to see the world and discover the problem areas where those values are just not being met. Realistically, even when we start with shared values, and we even agree upon the problems that exist, there is still plenty of room for disagreement. And it's okay. As we heard last night, we don't want to all be in agreement. We want differences of opinion and perspective. But knowing that we have shared values takes out a lot of the angry emotions from our discussions. It allows us to communicate with greater empathy toward one another. And within our Jewish framework, we can engage in civil discourse, coming to the table, as Rabbi Boxman said, to enter into discussions with open hearts and a willingness to listen to one another because of our shared values. Our Tikkun Olam volunteers, known as TOV or Tov, which in Hebrew means good, employs this approach to enable our temple community to discuss the critical issues of today in ways that are both respectful and constructive. Recent subjects included the potentially volatile topics of gun violence, climate change, hunger and food insecurity, as well as affordable housing. In each instance, people from vastly different political perspectives studied Jewish texts, talked about the problems we face, and found common ground for solutions. Following those initial discussions, our temple board voted to support the TOV, pursuing advocacy efforts in order to generate long-term solutions for the brokenness we find in our world. This summer, temple members receive invitations to learn about the principles of advocacy and to participate in these efforts to repair the world. I encourage those who are interested to contact Susan Hager, who is here today and who is leading this new initiative. Working from our common values, we will overcome the gaps that divide us and work together to be the change that we want to see in the world. In addition to what was discovered from those surveys on religion in America, the rapid rise of technology also fuels doubts for many about the importance of religious engagement in a world where artificial intelligence can provide answers to our questions. As my opening today demonstrated, AI can now write our material by quickly gathering information to answer any query, and it can complete those pre-assigned tasks that we give it. While AI is a hot topic in the 21st century, Judaism has long understood the limitations of devices like these. Centuries before the modern age, we found the mystical legend of the golem. Rabbi Judah Loew of Prague made a life-size human-shaped creature out of clay. Rabbi Loew invoked the true name of God to give life to the creature and inscribed one of God's names, Emet, Aleph Mem Tav, which means truth, on its forehead. The golem was the first prototype robot. Its master could ask it to fulfill any task, and it would do so, whether that was walk the streets at night and watch over the Jewish quarter, or cook or clean, whatever it was, the golem would do it, much like today's AI engines. But Rabbi Loew learned the golem had its limitations, and it posed a potential danger. Tales are told of the golem going awry, accidentally harming those it was meant to protect, or causing chaos as it lacked the capacity for thought. In one humorous children's story, somewhat akin to the mops from Disney's Sorcerer's Apprentice, a servant asked the golem to make latkes for the rabbi's party. Not knowing when to stop, the golem started cooking and kept cooking and cooking until the streets of the town overflowed with latkes. It may seem funny, but it showed the flaw in the system. Concerned by what could happen, Rabbi Lowe eventually erased the letters from the golem's forehead. According to lore, he left the golem in the attic of the Altnu Shul in Prague, should its assistance be needed again one day. Like the golem, today's AI has its limitations. Technology can provide answers and complete known tasks, but it cannot think creatively. It lacks the spark needed to go beyond the known, to break boundaries and innovate new solutions. This is something that our faith, our Judaism, can provide that AI cannot. The value of tikva, of hope, the belief that there is a better solution, the willingness to take giant leaps of faith to get there. When facing new or difficult problems, we need hope to endure, persevere, and eventually overcome the challenges that we face. Faith gives us that hope. To paraphrase Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel, we don't pray to God that the Holy One should solve the problems that we see, but rather for the blessings we need that will enable us to succeed, whether that's the strength to endure through challenging illness or the hope, the tikva, that despite all previous failures, things can and will get better at some point in the future. Without hope and the innovation it inspires, we would be doomed to stay exactly where we are. Collectively, we know the power of hope. Our hope for a return to Eretz Yisrael inspired the resilience of the Jewish people to never give up on a 2,000-year-old dream that we would once again have a Jewish homeland. And eventually we made that dream into a reality because of the power of hope. So whatever technology evolves, however our societies might change, Judaism will not only adapt to continue, but it will continue to enrich our lives, providing us with the comfort of kahila, community, the path to shalom, peace, and the tikva, the hope that we need to persevere. This summer, I heard a version of the following story told by Amy Smiler McFarland, the director at Camp Coleman. Long ago, a traveler came across a small town located in the hills. As she approached the town, the traveler noticed a cemetery on the outskirts of the community. Curious to learn more about the townsfolk, she paused to look at the stones. At the first marker, she read a puzzling inscription. On the stone was a name, but in lieu of the usual dates of birth and the date of death, it simply read 18 years and 25 days. Too young, she said out loud, shaking her head. Moving on to the next one, she found a name in the inscription, 15 years and 103 days. Oh my goodness, another life cut so short. Walking from stone to stone, she felt herself overcome with immense sadness as the pattern continued. 7 years and 45 days, 10 years and 18 days, tears streaming out of her eyes. The traveler did not notice that someone was coming toward her until she heard their voice. "Excuse me." The sound startled the traveler, causing her to look up. "You look quite distraught. Are you here to grieve a loved one?" the stranger asked. "No," replied the traveler. "I'm just overcome with immense heartache at seeing so many dying at such young ages. What happened here in this town? What calamity befell you?" "Oh, I think you misunderstand," replied the stranger. "You see, in our town we have a custom. When one reaches adulthood, they are given a notebook. And inside, they are to write down the memorable and meaningful moments of their lives. And for each one, how long the emotion of that experience lasted. When one is buried, we add up the time in the notebook and put it on the gravestone. After all, isn't the time that we find to be meaningful, sacred, and special the most important part of our lives? For those of us who live here, those meaningful moments that shape our lives are more valuable than the total of the years that we've spent walking the earth. Friends, as we celebrate the 10th year of one family, I want everyone here to make note of the meaningful moments that you encounter in your lives. At your seats today, you found a notepad from Temple Shalom. Use this to record the times when you encounter moments of kahila, of community, when you feel yourself connected to something larger than yourself and you're conscious of the relationships that make us one family. Make note on this pad of the experiences when you witness those with differences, those who can't get along, finding a way to come together to create shalom, peace, as they make our world more whole and holy. And use these pads to write down when you find tikva, hope, to persevere in the face of difficult challenges and experience the joy of discovering new solutions to the problems in your life. With each notation, you will be recording your own meaningful moments, and you will also be writing all of us into the book of life. For with each connection, you give meaning and life to the future of Judaism, our source for kahila, shalom, and tikva, the meaningful experiences that define what it means to truly live our lives. May the year ahead be one full of blessing and meaning for us all. Shana Tova Umetuka, a happy, healthy, and sweet new year. Amen.